Hi, welcome to Joy Feeder International. So you know what we represent here is all about thinking. Let's start thinking. And as always, we always come here with something exciting, something that's thought-provoking. That's why we say let's start thinking. So my name is Joy Fido and welcome on board. So what's the exciting thing I've got to share with you today? It's a topic I call poverty is ignorance. Poverty is ignorance. I've always looked at this topic in so many different ways. But I heard somebody say it very recently and it made me think. I was watching an interview with Dr. Cindy Trim, and she was going on and on explaining what happens to all of us and how we allow ourselves to be, to get involved with other people, and then we allow them to pull us to places we don't want to go, and we end up telling ourselves things and getting all wound up and giving ourselves excuses. But see, further down the line is because we don't know who we are, so we tend to lose out on life. And I know I've been reading this book that I keep bringing to you recently, The Biology of Belief. And we've heard about how we've been programmed to see life differently. One of the things I always say to all of us is, especially, those people we call masters, how did they get to become who they are? It's not because someone taught them, but it's because it's something that God already put in us. We are fully functional beings. But what tends to change us? What tends to weaken us? What tends to destroy us is the environment we live in. That's one of the things the Biology of Belief says. Because, one of the things we've been told over and over, oh yeah, it's down to your genes. Your genes say your parents had this, so you're going to have that too. And so automatically we take the power away from ourselves and we give it to the genes. Because I came out with these crazy genes, that's why I have to be like this. I took that from my parents. But he said, no, it's not about your parents. It's about you and what you've been, what's been programmed into you. And then I started wondering, but what are programs? I started wondering, could it be I've been programmed too? Yes, we all have been programmed. Because it gave a simple example of, you go into the bathroom to use the toothpaste and someone's removed the cover from the toothpaste, which happens all the time. And then when you see that, you get really angry. Why don't they ever leave this cover on this toothpaste? I know, our hands up, I'm one of those. And then you ask yourself, but who told you that, a toothpaste without cover is the worst thing that could happen? And so we, especially as mothers, will go into the kitchen and the kitchen is in a state. Our kids have eaten and dropped all the plates everywhere. And we get wound up. That's program. Who made you think that plates all over the place is such a bad thing? I'm not saying it's a good thing that we should be messy and dirty and all of that thing that goes with it. But these are the things that will engage your state of mind that you're no longer yourself. I know about those people who they call, over the top, or people who have this thing in them that ADHD or various things where they can get so clean, spanking clean, that if they see a spark of dirt, they get wound up and their whole day could be messed up. I used to be one of those where if I put something somewhere and I come back and I don't see it the way I left it, I will get wound up. And that's program. So all of these things are conditioning, program, habits or addiction, whatever you want to call it. These are things that we've grown up with. Society's made us feel that's the right way, and so we take it on. But we're still picking on poverty, right? And we said poverty eats ignorance. So where does that come in? Now let's go first into the Bible and look at what the Bible says. You know, Hosea 4 verse 6, where he says, "My people suffer for lack of knowledge." And lack of knowledge is one of the things I talk about every day. Because when we don't have knowledge, what happens? We suffer. And even which other passage in the Bible? Proverbs 4:7 tells us too. It says the first thing we should seek in life is seek knowledge. Because without knowledge, we're nowhere. And so this takes me right into we as black people. Or we as Africans. Now we sit there and moan and complain about how we lack. We lack everything. You look in the news every day, migrant ship. Everybody's migrating, living in Africa. It made a lot of sense when I then heard poverty is ignorance. Now, think about it. Just think about it. If you know how to do something, would you not do it? Of course you would do it. And then, good example, we have all these riches in Africa. Wealth untold. I mean, sometimes I say, God lives in Africa. Because there's nothing Africa lacks. Think about diamonds, think about gold, think about, petroleum or all the natural oils that you can think about. Think about all the precious stones. Think about, trees and fruits, 24 hours a day, sunshine. I mean, not necessarily 24 hours, but call it 12 months a year, there's sunshine in Africa. And, as a tourism person, I know the value of sunshine. This is what countries advertise and say, come to our sunshine. And we got seas beyond imagination. Beaches that you cannot even count. Blue seas everywhere that we could try and say, come and enjoy our hospitality. But do we know about it? In tourism, Africa is way back. When we did some analysis about countries that actually encourage tourism or countries that everybody wants to go and visit, Europe is at the top of it. Okay, when we look, further down, we can say, okay, Europe started tourism years ago. So before we even begin, started to know about it, remember again, knowledge is only recently. But we're still way back down there, 3%, with all the natural wealth that we have. The safaris in Kenya, in South Africa, in Zambia, and Tanzania, you name it. But where is our problem? Know how. And that's why the Bible said, knowledge. Seek knowledge first. So, this is where it comes down again. Skill. I remember years ago when I went into hair and I started working with my hands, and I lost my job in telecoms, and that was me desperate, 3 children to feed, and I had nothing else to do. I didn't want to go to another job with 3 kids in tow, and then I'll be told if I say my daughter's got headache or need to go to doctor's appointment, I have to take that day off, and then it will be counted against me. And then my boss will say to me, oh, but every day you're always saying something is happening, or maybe my kids want to go on a school trip, I can't go with them. So I considered all of that. And I decided, no, it's time I use my own hands to create my own destiny. And so I went learning how to work with hair, using my own 2 hands. And today, I have this program which I show you all the time. Our home certification program, over 30 DVDs. Things I had to do to empower myself. And then Once I got the knowledge, I started sharing it. Same thing I'm doing today. And so, what I then started getting people to understand is your money is in your hands. Because with the skill I have now in my head that connects to my hand, I earn money that feeds me and my family. So, if I didn't know how to go and empower myself, hand that God already gave me, and head and brain and mindset that I have, would I be feeding my family today? No. Do you see how poverty could have been my portion if I didn't know how to use my hands? Know how. And so this exists in all our life. There are so many things we have that all we have to do is know how to use it. This is one of the areas I'm really looking to. So I've done the hair, I've got the program, and now I'm working on so many other things that work with hair. And I get all these people, my students and people who are asking, please could you mentor me? I'm more than over the moon excited to mentor people to pull them to where they want to be. But I'm looking at other things as well, because I know that everything that we are is in our mind and in our head, and everything we are is down to you. And so one of my pet projects, one of my exciting pet projects right now is food. And there's, I've set up this thing I call Sunshine Foods. And what Sunshine Foods about? It's about looking at all the foods we have in Africa and see how we can package them beautifully and present them beautifully. Because in tourism, one of the things people chase the world to go and get is what they call gastronomy tourism. And what is that? It's food. Food tourism, people travel places just to go and eat in a certain country. I mean, one of the ones I definitely want to take my young son on is to go and eat burger in America. Not that they don't make burgers all over the world, but people still think burger is an American food, so let me go and taste the American burger. You go to Italy to go and eat the Italian pasta. You come to England to go and eat fish and chips. You see how it works? So, we went to Brazil just to go and enjoy the Brazilian cuisines or Spanish cuisine. One of the times we went to Spain, one of the things we had to eat, I can't remember what that food is called.
Paella.
Paella. It's just rice with various things put on top of it. I mean, people go to Italy too to go and eat the Italian pizza. Not that these foods don't exist in other countries, but you wanna taste the original taste of that food. So if you come into Nigeria and I'm making for you Nigerian gari or Nigerian eforiro, or there's one in Port Harcourt where I come from, where it's a plantain and fish. You don't get that in any other place. So you could be visiting Port Harcourt just to go and have plantain and fish. So that's the kind of exciting thing that I look at. Now imagine if you create an industry out of that. Just the food that community is known for, that locality is known for, and you're employing people to do that. I mean, here in the UK, or with what McDonald's did, was to turn just potatoes into an industry. Do you know how many McDonald's shops are there in the world? What did McDonald's make out of that? Then they started enticing children. Then they put all these little toys in everything. They call it Happy Meal, and they call it this one, and they call it that one. All of that based on potato and beef. Does potato not exist in Nigeria? Does potato not exist in Africa? Africa has more food crops than you can imagine. Nigeria, for instance, where I come from, It is endless. There's yam, there's tree-leaf yam, there's cocoa yam, and these are just, just like potato. But here in the UK, all we have is just the one potato. And it's an industry employing millions of people. But in Nigeria, we have the yam, we have cocoa yam, we have tree-leaf yam, you name it, and yam, all of this. We have the sweet potato as well, and they just go on and on and on. We have plantain, and these are all similar fruits. But still, in our state of mind, we haven't been able to turn these things into industries. We're not talking about fruits where you come here and if you go to M&S, like I like doing sometimes, you get all these drinks and all they're telling you is infused with this and infused with, and these are just synthetically created taste. They are not real. But in Africa, we have all of them. Mango, you name it, just fruits, endless fruits. So do you see where poverty is ignorance? So these are the things we need to really think about. Think about your state of mind. And that's where that ignorance lies. Ignorance is in our state of mind. And this is why Bible said to us, before anything else, seek knowledge. And he said to us, my people suffer for lack of knowledge, being ignorance. That's why you see all of us chasing the white man's country. And this is why I always ask myself and ask every one of us, these countries that we're chasing, who made those places the way they are? Was it not human beings? I mean, look at Dubai of yesterday. Look at Qatar of yesterday. And then you have countries like Nigeria who naturally is so blessed with so much wealth. But what do we do with our wealth? We just enrich ourselves alone, just us. My family, my children, my great-grandparents, my children that are yet unborn, my generations that haven't even dreamt of coming here yet. Let me save that money for them. But nothing clicks in our head that, if we do something in this country, our great-great-grandchildren may come and enjoy it and make good use of it. And according to this man on Russia television that I love watching now, I've forgotten his name right now. Kaiser Report. He said he calls it dead money. Dead money. Dead money is money that's not doing anything. Money that practically has no value. That's what Nigerian money is. Dead money. Because these monies are then taken and saved in some foreign country, Switzerland, USA, UK. Money just sitting in someone's bank account doing nothing. Money that belongs to the country. Money that belongs to the people. I mean, I visited Nigeria recently, and practically like in a week, there were 3 days of holidays. 3 days of holidays, you cannot try that here in the UK. This system will crumble. Now, why would they be able to do such a thing? Because they don't depend on the people to earn the money. Because the money comes from natural resources. So whenever they export this petroleum, money is coming in, so they don't need taxes. But that doesn't mean they don't tax people there. Oh, of course they do, but the local governments will create their own different ways of getting tax of the ordinary man who's trying to make ends meet. They chase you down the road to bring money so they can enrich themselves. No, they don't get this money off you because they want to use the money to create infrastructure in the system. They chase you just so they can, it's like a tax collector collecting all this money so he can enrich his own pocket. Like the rich fool in the Bible. His own pocket will be so full, he will relax and say, my soul relax, enjoy, drink. And so they create all kinds of dead money. I mean, I saw roads that were completely broken, that was flooded to the highest heaven. And I'm asking, but why? Why is nobody doing something about these roads? Even when the locals felt like, let's contribute and fix the road because we live here, we want to have access to our house. You're not meant to touch the road, because if you do, they'll find a way to kill you. Why? Because that road gives them opportunity to keep messing around, defrauding the system, and say, we're going to fix XYZ road, so let the federal government send money to the local government, or state government send money to the local government so that we can use it to fix that road. But that money never gets to fix the road, because that road is like an insurance for them. Money will keep coming because we're trying to fix this road. And so if anybody goes to fix that road, then you stop that money coming in because of that road. Do you see how the mentality goes? But if we had fixed that road and there's more business happening, wouldn't there be more money coming in? That's our ignorance. If we allowed our system to create infrastructures, electricity, water, attractions that people will come and visit. I mean, one of the ones that really gets me, I was talking about tourism in Africa. 3% of the whole world tourism is 3% for Africa. Imagine if we created infrastructure with 12 months of the year sunshine. Would we have any problem of people coming to visit Africa because of natural resources that's there? We will not. And the beauty about tourism is, when people come to visit you for your hospitality, they spend their hard-earned money they earned in their country on you. So they eat your food, they visit your infrastructure, they go to, they use your taxi within the system, they arrive at your airport, and so they're paying to the country. So everything is brought into the country. You don't need to export anything. And most smart countries right now are jumping on the bandwagon of tourism. But now we haven't really seen the value of it in Africa, because all we want to do is look at ways with which we can steal everything we have in the system and physically send money out of the system. I still question that. What is wrong with creating infrastructure in the system so that we can create employment? At least to start with that. If there's enough good airports in Nigeria, and I'm not saying airports, I'm saying airports. Each state could have at least 2 airports. One local, one international. Each state. We could start with that. And okay, if we don't want to separate it, one decent, really good airport. They can have a domestic branch and then an international side. And then people could travel from wherever to anywhere in the world. But now we've not started thinking like that. The same people who call themselves politicians are the same ones who would send their children abroad to go to these places that other people have fixed. Dubai, for instance. Dubai practically bought everything they have. Their beach is fake. The homes they built. The palm trees they built, they created. So do you see how poverty is ignorance? Because we just have refused to allow ourselves to think. And then this is the one that really gets me sometimes. And I know I'm one of them. We want to blame the West for all our problems. There's a book I have, and I can't remember the title right now, but Africa Rising. I don't know if it's Africa Rising, one of them, something to do with Africa. And he said, yes, we could blame the West for all the slavery they did to us, the colonization they did to us. Yes, all of that happened. Yes, we know. But since then, this is how long ago colonization ended. So is it not time for us to wake up then and say, you know what, we have to come back to our senses now and make good of our own things. We blame everyone. Can we still blame people for the corruption that goes on in our countries? Because yes, they probably entice them to do what they do, but could you not stand your grounds? Yes, I know crazy things happen, I know bigger things happen that are not within what we can see. But could we not work as a group and fight some of these things? Because the question I ask now is, okay, I want to blame the rest of the world for the things that happen to Africa, but where did they get their thinking from? Where did the white man get his thinking from? How come he can think to develop his own people, create better environment for his own people, create infrastructure in his system, create, do the things that make all of us want to come to him, and yet we can't do that? What is wrong with our thinking? What's wrong with us? With all the natural resources we have, why are we not allowing ourselves to think? So, let's start thinking. That's what I say to all of us. So, these are some of the things we really need to sit back and look at. Because one of the ones again that really gets to me is when we then go to church and then they start preaching to us and preaching to us and preaching to us. One of the ones we did, someone read something recently and I replied. This was on Facebook, and his take was, the problem with us is all of us want to use God as our slave. That made me think, what? Using God as slave? In what form? Yeah, because we all sit back and pray. We just pray and wait for God to do everything for us. Isn't that a slave? Let God do everything. We don't have to do anything. And that's what's happening in Africa. All of us want to sit in church, pray every day, and expect God to answer that prayer. But God already answered our prayer years ago. Even before He created us, He answered the prayer. On the 6th day He rested. On the 7th day He rested. But on the 6th day He created man and said, go ye and multiply. He said, go and have dominion over the earth. How else could you get instruction? What kind of instruction are you waiting for? I see it as complete. When you have how do they say, a stubborn child or a stubborn person in your life, and who, no matter what you tell that person, they're not listening. That's who we are, especially those of us in Africa. We're too stubborn for God. We're just too stubborn. Because He gave us clear instruction. Go and multiply the things I've given you. Go and multiply those trees, fruit trees. Go and multiply all your yam and your cocoyam and tree leaf yam. Go and multiply your fruit trees. Go and multiply the sun that you have. Go and multiply the seeds that you have. Go and multiply the human resource that you have. We have over 1 billion people in Africa. No, all we want to do is kill all of them. Because now in Nigeria you're hearing about kidnapping, you're hearing about Fulani men, you're hearing about people emigrating every day, and then they are dying in the deep sea, Mediterranean Sea, trying to cross and run away. And then we all come over here to the west, and then when we are here, what happens to us? They destroy us even more, because what they then do is break our spirit, and then we cannot think outside the box, because for people like you shouldn't be doing this, and for people like you shouldn't be doing, because we can't think. Because we can't think. And so we've allowed ourselves to stay in this mental state of poverty where we don't think we are capable of anything. We do go to school, mind you, don't get me wrong, we are all educated. I've said that over and over. We studied PhDs. We had a PhD president at one time, did not change anything. Do you think it's the academic education that creates wealth? No. Because it's not all of that. When you really look at people who are doing it really well in business, most of them did not go to no school. They are not all Harvard business trained. They have a mindset that believes in multiplication. Just the same way God said, go ye and multiply. They have a mindset that believes in service. Give. I was having a chat with my daughter this morning, and she said something that was interesting. And she said to me, Mom, it's she read something, and the person said, you have to learn to give. And when you give, don't go advertising that you've given. I said, yeah, it's okay if it's all about occasionally giving money to, beggars on the street, or a relative comes and says, please, can you help me out? You give. But not when they turn it into a hobby. I get those. They came once and they asked for a favor, asked for help, and you gave, and then they come again. Oh, by the way, and I need help for this again. Oh, and I need another help for that. And it's like, when are you going to wake up? You don't make a habit of constantly begging. You allow your brain to think. If you come to people, this is where you hear people invest. Investors have all this money in their hands, and they are looking for things to invest in. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich. That's what that book was about. This guy had all the ideas, but he didn't have the money. So he, put it all together, and he had this group of investors come to this event he held, and he started explaining the ideas he had. And he asked them, who wants to invest in it? And if you watched Dragon's Den here in the UK, it's one of the things they do. People come with their ideas and explain the process and how the idea came about and what they're thinking about and how they're going to turn this idea into reality, and people invest in it. So if people came to me with ideas of, these are things I want to do, but I haven't got the money to do it, how will invest in it if I see it's a great idea? But not every day come and I need money for this and I need money for that. What is wrong with the world? Because you're not allowing your mind to think. Because in one of the videos we talked about, everybody's got something. Everybody's got something in them. Even you. There's a message in you that you have to turn into service, to turn into a product, to turn into helping people. And so when you help people, they grow. And that's why in our program here, that was one of the things that got me started. How do I empower people with skills that will help them grow? There's that saying that teach a man to fish and he feeds for life. But if you give him fish today, which is money, oh yeah, I need money, here you go. Then he goes and buys himself whatever, enjoys it done. Comes again tomorrow, can I have some money? Here you go. So each time you give him fish, he feeds for that day. But if you teach him to fish now, that's another story. Teach him to go and learn how to catch that fish yourself. Watch him feed for life. So that was my idea for going into empowering people with the knowledge I had, the skills I had, which are called KIDS. Knowledge, information, skills, and standards of how to take care of it. So that's what it is. If we can allow ourselves to come out of our ignorance, all of this nonsense about Africa being such a poor continent and our people struggling and life is such a mess. Seriously, every time I go home, that's what you hear. And I tell you the truth, they are not poor. They are not poor at all in any form. They have all the money, but they will still believe they are poor. But you don't allow yourself to think like that. You have to start thinking, what else can I add to life? Being the message. What is my message for life? What message is God trying to pass through me? Because we are vessels. And that's why God says, in all things give me the glory. We are vessels through which God works with the world. Because now think about 7 billion people in the world and more. So God would have had to share himself into 7 little pieces, 7 billion little pieces. So which is invariably what he's done with all of us. Because he walks through all of us. And that's why I know for sure that you do have a message. All that's happening is you haven't looked into yourself to know what your message is. And so your ignorance, you're not knowing, is what the problem is. Not that you're poor. You're not poor. Nobody is poor. God never created any of us to be poor. From the biology of belief, understanding that the programs that have been put on us over the years is what's really holding us down. We need to come out of it. And this is where he mentioned about the Matrix, because again, I love watching movies. And some of these movies that I've heard about are movies I actually love anyway. And the Matrix said, here's the blue pill, here's the red pill, take one. And red pill, you come out of the program, and blue pill, you stay in the program. So program being, what are these things that... So remember to share with your friends, like I said, and remember to subscribe, because we have so much coming our way constantly on this channel. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video, and God bless you as always.